Hi moms, thank you for joining me on week 2. I already have a bit of a cold, which is fantastic, but I'm going to push through anyways. This week I want to talk to you about making time for your own passions. It's something we as moms struggle with, and I'm hoping to give you all a little bit of inspiration. Being a mom is a full-time job, and then you add on being an equestrian mom. It's a balancing act to juggle the barn and home life, and it can feel impossible. But what if I told you it's not only possible but essential to carve out time for your passions? I know you probably think I'm crazy, but it is something we need to do. I remember a day when I was overwhelmed juggling work, farm life, ranching, kids, and the household demands. My riding boots stayed untouched for weeks, but when I finally made it back to the barn, even for 30 minutes, and I'm not talking about 30 minutes to feed my horses, I have to do that every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. I realized how much I needed that time for me. Riding isn't just a hobby, it's a therapy. It recharges us emotionally and physically, and it really does actually make us better moms, and it makes us much happier humans. I don't know about you, but spending out time in the barn makes me a much happier person. So some things we can do to make sure that we're getting the time to be our best selves is assess your schedule. The first step is assessing your schedule and breaking your day down. Like, have a look at your day. Where are we spending time that we are maybe not realizing we're wasting? Where are our time leaks? How much time are you spending on social media? I know this was a huge eye-opener for me, especially when I was a breastfeeding mom. It's so easy to just sit there and hold our sleeping babies after they fall to sleep on the boob, and you just sit there and scroll. It's the easy thing to do. Or with the toddlers, they're busy bodies, and we need that time to escape, and lots of times we turn to social media, we turn to our phones. I was blown away when I looked at the amount of time I spend on my phone. Is there other unnecessary things you're doing to fill the gap and make yourself feel like you're doing something? It's really important that you sit down and you find those things, and then think about what really fuels you and resonates with you. Where would you rather be spending your time? Would you rather be sitting on social media for hours on end, or would you rather go out to the barn? Sometimes we don't have the tools to make the barn feel like it's the easier answer, and I'm hoping that I can help you find those things to make it not feel so daunting, or maybe get rid of the guilt that you feel when you do go there. And then the next thing we need to do is find your non-negotiables. What are the things that are important to you? And also remember that spending time with our horses, riding, taking lessons, whatever your equestrian journey looks like, you need to understand that it's not selfish. It's an investment in your well-being and your productivity, and we need to take care of ourselves before we can take care of others, or we get run down. I'm so bad for this, and I'm such a giver that I'll give every ounce of me and then wonder why I'm mad and why I just long to go to the barn and do the things with horses, and it's because I haven't taken the time to prioritize those needs for myself. I put everybody else first. So really identify what is non-negotiable in your life. And then the next thing we're going to do is set realistic riding goals. I'm really going to try to stop the guys. It's going to be a process, so hang on with me while I figure that out. There I am again. Anyways, we're going to set realistic riding goals. Sorry, coming from being a trainer and a riding coach and wanting to compete and do those things, my expectations for my riding was really unrealistic after I became a mom. I wanted to go and ride 4 different horses a day and have horses competition ready, or have my training horses progressing like they used to, and I really had to sit down with myself and say, hey, that's not a realistic goal right now. Yes, we can work towards that, but I needed to really have a reality check with myself and understand that I really needed to focus on the key elements of what was important to me. So setting realistic weekly or monthly riding goals is so important. Maybe it's just 2 rides a week. Maybe it's 1 ride a week. Maybe we're not even going to focus on riding. Maybe we're just going to focus on going out and sitting with our horses or grooming our horses, or maybe it's groundwork we want to focus on. But decide what those realistic goals are going to be for you. Focus on quality over quantity. Progress isn't about hours spent, but the commitment and you showing up and doing the things. The next thing we're going to worry about once we've figured out a realistic riding goal, and keep in mind we might not necessarily get it right, and it's going to change over time as our kids grow up, and maybe we find childcare or some other thing. Maybe our kids' naps change. These goals are going to have to be flexible, but we need to have a starting point. So the next thing we're going to work on is time-saving hacks. These are things that we're going to learn to do automatically that are going to give us more time. An example of a time-saving hack is keeping your riding gear in a specific spot. So for me, I have a tote that's just my riding gear. I wash it, that's where it goes, my favorite riding pants or whatever. If I know I'm going to ride that day, I will put those pants on in the morning. Yeah, they're going to get dirty from kid dirt and whatnot, and they are not staying as pristine as they used to, which is crazy to say because barn life is not a clean life, but kid dirt is different. I put those pants on if I know I'm going to ride in the morning. It keeps me in that mental game of you're riding today. This is in the plans, the schedules. Another thing you can do, whether you have your horse at home or at a boarding facility, is organize your stuff. So when you get there, you know where it is. It's easy to find. You know what you're looking for. Lots of times we want to get carried away with unnecessary extras. Keep it simple. Don't be worried about a 10 brush grooming thing unless that is your goal going out. Today I'm going to groom. Oh my god, sorry, my kids are being wild in the other room. Hopefully that's not coming through too much. Anyways, we're going to focus on keeping things organized so we know where things are, and we're going to focus on keeping things simple. And know what your focus is going out. And if you can, combine barn chores with family time. My kids are, for the most part, pretty horse crazy, so it makes it pretty easy. They really love helping me muck stalls, feed, and it turns it into a bit of quality time together. If your kid's not as eager as my 2 girls are, like Dustin's not as interested in horses as the girls, which is a-okay. I set him up with his dump truck, and he'll put around a stall and load it up with shavings and poo and drive it over here and dump it. He drives his cars on the driveway. He has spots to entertain him and keep him busy, and he enjoys going out there and having those interactions. So those are really important. If you're trying to juggle horse time and you don't have the ability to have somebody take care of your kids or something, try to figure out a way to incorporate them. The girls are easy because I can set them up with ponies to groom. They're at the ages where I can give them a task and they can go do it. So it does get easier. Amy is 8 and Isla is 5, and they are horse crazy. They've been horse crazy from day one. Amy's really capable of helping Isla along, which makes things a lot nicer, but Dustin is so needy, so he really drags me back down, but it's okay. It's a balancing act and we figure it out. The next thing to think about, which we kind of touch base on time-saving hacks, is incorporating your family. If you're lucky and blessed as I am to have a family that loves the horses, it's really a win-win. It is a bit of a drawback because I find it hard to separate the girls' horse time from my own horse time, and they're getting close to the stage where I can ride with them, and I cannot wait for that to happen. But they still need me to tack up for them, and they still need, Isla has kind of regressed in her riding. She's having some fear issues, which I'll touch on a totally different video, but she wants to be led like she's a little lead line kid, even though she can walk trot independently 110%. So even though it's family time, it's become more of me meeting their horse needs, not necessarily me meeting my horse needs. And depending on where you are in your journey and how you feel about things, it is still ridiculously rewarding. I love coaching the girls, but at the end of the day, say they've gotten to ride and I haven't, I do still feel like, oh, I wish that I had gotten the time to ride. So keep that in mind. Incorporating family is huge, especially if your family's at the age where you could all go in on trail ride. We've done that a few times last year, and it was fantastic. Dustin napped the whole time. So that was a bit of a juggling act, but it was so fun to go do something with the family. Joel isn't horse crazy, but he's quite happy to get on a horse and go for a trail ride and do those things with us. He does enjoy it, and I think if I had committed more time to getting him out on the horses, he would enjoy it even more. So I'm really lucky that way, and if you're lucky enough to have a family that will even come out and putt around or take pictures of you or be involved in some way, it can really make you feel less guilty about going and doing those things alone. Another thing to really consider, and this one is one I really like to try to implement, but I suck at giving myself that permission, is schedule your rides like an appointment. Just like you going to the doctor because your appendix is gonna rupture. It's set in stone. It's an important appointment. Maybe you get your nails done every week. I'm sure you don't get your nails done every week. You can tell I don't get my nails done, so I don't know that realm of the world. But set it as an actual appointment. Set it as something in your schedule. Treat your rides like an appointment. Put it in your calendar and honor that time. Let your partner or support system know that you need help to make it happen. Communication is key. When your family sees how important it is to you, they'll more than likely support it. If you don't have a support system, if you watched my first video, you would know that my main support system is no longer with us. So I've had to really communicate with Joel on his days off that I need this time, and I really struggle with feeling guilty taking that time. I feel like, well, he could be off doing something that's more important or more productive than me taking that time to do the things I need to do. So that's something I'm working on myself. But it is important to schedule it, make an appointment, sit down with your spouse, or maybe you have a caregiver that will watch your kids for you, and set it in stone. It makes life so much easier, and as you get into the schedule and get the routine, it makes it feel so much less overwhelming, and you feel less guilty about it. And then another point is, like I said before, we need to adapt and be flexible. Life happens, we all know that, especially with children, and that's okay. Like, let it roll. Don't feel guilty if you don't get time for a full ride. Embrace shorter sessions or even groundwork. Progress doesn't require perfection, it just requires you to show up. And sometimes all we need is that 10 minutes to just go out and hug our horses and be there. Maybe we don't necessarily ride, maybe we put the kid in the stroller and we walk the horse down the road. Those are some of my favorite memories, is putting the kids in the stroller. And then the girls, like when Amy was old enough to sit on the pony and I could lead her, and Isla was in the stroller, and Isla would nap, and that was our thing. I would take two ponies and she would ride the solid one and I would take a baby, and it was just really cool. And then we started with 2 kids and Amy was on her own. So find what works for you and be willing to be flexible, but at the same time, making your rides like an appointment is important. So you have to find that balance between making your schedule but understanding that life happens and that we have to adapt. Maybe your scheduled appointments have to change because Tommy has decided to go from 2 half-hour naps to 1 big long hour nap, or maybe he's decided to do the opposite. Learning to adapt to what we've planned makes this so much easier, and it really takes the disappointment out of it. Something that I struggle with a lot myself, but it is something we can learn to do. So, to all the equestrian moms out there, first off, thank you for watching, and don't feel guilty about prioritizing your passions. When you make time to do what you love, you come back to your family happier and more fulfilled. You are a better person and you're better able to meet their needs. Your passion is your strength. Don't let that go. Make time for you. You're important. You're very important. I hope that you got something out of this video that can help you make horse time a little bit easier and maybe a little more structured in your life. I'd love to hear your strategies for balancing barn time and mom life. Share your tips in the comments below, and let's inspire each other, please, and thank you. And remember, you're not just making time for your passion, you're showing your kids the importance of following theirs too. I hope that you got some little tidbit out of this, and I'm grateful for you joining us. Please subscribe for more tips on balancing equestrian life and motherhood. Thank you, and see you next time.